there's this thing called the gut-brain axis, where we've got increasing numbers of studies that are showing us that the way we behave is can often be a direct product of the microbes that in our gut. Like, kind of weird, right? Hey, devoted dog dads and marvelous mutt moms, Dr. Heather, your friendly neighborhood holistic vet, talking about poop. Don't run away. Don't run away. You know, your pet's digestive system is not just this empty, sterile tube. There's a whole ecosystem in there. There's trillions of microorganisms. This is probably getting familiar to you because it's really getting talked about a lot in both human and pet health. These microbes regulate not just digestion and nutrient absorption, but immunity and even behavior. There's this thing called the gut-brain axis, where we've got increasing numbers of studies that are showing us that the way we behave is can often be a direct product of the microbes that in our gut. Like, kind of weird, right? So why am I talking about this? Because it's important for your pet's health. I see more and more pets in my practice and hear about them from friends and neighbors who are having all kinds of chronic problems. They're itchy, they get recurrent ear infections, they're scratching all the time. Maybe they've got an autoimmune diagnosis. Cancer is the worst case scenario of that. All kinds of behavior issues where they're suddenly anxious and maybe even aggressive. Lots of really difficult things, not just things that we think of with the gut, which is, are they constipated or have chronic loose stools or diarrhea? I mean, yeah, that, but all these other things, and they're all affected by the bacteria that are living in your pet's gut. So what do we do about it? Yeah, diet and herbs and supplements can affect that, but it's really good to know before you start what actually is going on in there. And there are functional stool tests and gut microbiome tests that are available. All you need, your dog and cat poop every single day, probably more than you wish that they would, right? All you need to do is take one of those samples and submit them, and we can get a microbiome test that tells us exactly what kinds of bacteria are growing in their stools. There's lots of different tests out there. I'm going to talk about that in a minute because it can make a big difference what test you choose. So when we look at the bacteria that are actually in your pet's gut, not just a guess, now we know whether it's very diverse, whether it's balanced. Are there a bit of a lot of different kinds of microbes, or there are a lot of one or two? We can figure out if there's any pathogenic bacteria in there, because that's important to know. And the test that I use even looks for antibiotic resistance genes in the bacteria that are in your pet's gut. Also really important. So testing is a lot better than guessing. I know these things all cost money, but so do the supplements and the herbs. And when we're not sure what we're actually working with, we could be unintentionally giving things that are making the problem worse. Testing helps us to know what the heck we're doing. Long term, this is going to save you money. When are you going to do a test like this? Well, like I said, pretty much any pet, it's good to know just for baseline, even if your pet is healthy right now. If they have any kind of GI upset, recurrent nausea, if they're really picky eaters, if they don't want to take treats when you're training them, if they have recurrent loose stools or, bouts of diarrhea, anytime they get any weird thing, that they get a bout of diarrhea, that's an indication that you need to test. If they've had antibiotics or steroids recently, or a period of high stress, maybe you had to leave them either with a friend or, in a boarding facility, very stressful. If they've been hospitalized, all of that's going to change their gut bacterial population. Also, if they've got allergies, if you're told that they have seasonal allergies, but you suspect there might be some food component particularly. And again, even behavior changes, anxiety and aggression, because I told you the microbes that are in the gut affect how we feel. It's really strange, but it's true. So when we test and we address the imbalances that we find there, then we can help our pets to become more emotionally resilient. I really like the word equanimity. That means they're emotionally steady and resilient. That's what we want for ourselves and for them. And dear Lord, don't we all need a little more equanimity in our lives these days? So the good news is that because people understand now the importance of the gut microbiome, there's a number of tests that are available. The bad news is, how are you as a pet owner supposed to know which test is best? So I have a test that I use and trust, and I like the way they do the DNA sequencing. They're not just culturing, and they give me so much more information than some of the other tests I've seen on the market. I've got a link to that test. You can buy it directly on my website. So if you look in the comment section, you'll have a link to that. And the microbiome test is a really great baseline. If your pet has a lot of problems, I'm going to encourage you to also get a functional stool test, and that's from a separate lab. You'll see them both on my website, but getting those two tests together can really give us a lot of actionable information. Now, you can buy all of these tests over the counter, and if you want to, go ahead and do that. You don't have to buy them through my website. I don't charge you anymore. And in fact, I know at least that functional stool test, my link gives you a 15% discount. But you can buy them over the counter and they'll send you the results. You might be a little confused once you get those results, and you might want a little help. So I offer online consulting to help you interpret those tests. I do like full top to bottom health evaluations and coaching. So that's something entirely different. You can buy this test, and then if you would like, you can also buy a bit of my time to analyze this test for you and then meet with you live on the phone or on a video chat and tell you what I see and what I think that we can do about it. I've got links to some really high quality products in my dispensary. I give you a big discount off of retail when you've bought things from me, because that's how this works. You wash my hand, I wash yours. And I think I've really helped people to navigate the sometimes confusing results that we get. So I hope that that was helpful. I hope you have a little bit of an understanding of how important it is to know what's going on in your animal's poop, not just throw it away. That's information, for crying out loud. And I hope you see how I can help you if you'd like some help. Anyway, you slice it. I'm really glad that you're here. You're obviously really devoted to your pets. Otherwise, you wouldn't be skimming YouTube, listening to silly veterinarians talk about poop. Have a great day.